Today we're going to do the handover video on the Chausson 610. We're going to start on the outside and then we're going to move on to the inside. Coming over to the passenger side, you've got your fill-up points. Open up the passenger side door, you've then got your diesel cap, which is just there. Diesel into there, remember, not water or petrol. Make sure obviously it's diesel. Don't confuse this for your fresh water tank or anything. Whilst I've opened up the door, you'll notice you've got your tyre pressures on the side here. And whilst I'm here, I'll also show you your remus cab blinds. Your remus cab blinds can be operated just simply by pinching and then pulling out. I typically find that it's a lot easier if you lead from the bottom with these remus cab blinds and then link up, because often what happens is they can get caught. So just take your time with them. And as a rule of thumb with everything in a motorhome, if it feels like it's being forced or it's getting caught anywhere, just think about it. You're probably doing something wrong, that's the reason. So never force anything. Then take that back and that'll clip in just like that. You've got these on your windows. You've also got them at the front as well, which you can see on this rail, which it will follow, which will then go around the mirror. Moving on to the side of the vehicle, firstly you've got your trim vent, which is on the passenger side. This trim vent, when travelling, needs to be on the vehicle. You don't want any rubbish or any dirt getting into here when you're travelling. So when you are travelling, make sure that this is on. When you're then on a site, what you do need to do is when you're using the boiler for the water, which I'll talk more on when we're on the inside, you need to remove this. The reason being is this is the vehicle's chimney for your boiler. So obviously if this is left on, what you'll do is just gas it out. So always make sure that you remove that when you are using the boiler system, just for the fresh water, because obviously you have got your Webasto heating system in this, which is diesel heating, so slightly different. So just make sure that you always do that when heating the water, when typically you're on site. And as I say, when travelling, keep it on. Moving over, you've got your convenience locker. In your convenience locker, this is where the majority of your drain down points are, and also your fuse boxes and everything like that. I'll open it up now for you. Once open, you'll firstly notice, by opening this, you've got your RCD breaker on one side, which is here. So if the vehicle ever trips, you need to come to this point here. And then over here, you've also got your fuses. They put it all in one place, so it's dead easy to get to. Moving along, you've also got your fresh water tank, which is here. To fill this up, all you need to do, slide this out, unscrew the cap, and then simply put your hose pipe in and fill up the system. When it's coming out, obviously you know it's full. Dead easy. You'll also notice that you've got this big black cap here, which you can remove to clean it when it's empty. Realistically, you only need to do that once or twice a year, because I don't really recommend drinking out of the water tank. To drain this system down, you've got two ways of draining the fresh water down. You've got first a quick drain down point and then a full drain down point. Firstly, the quick drain down point is located in the vehicle here. If I flick that up, this brown toggle, you notice that a little bit of water starts trickling out. What this does is it drains down the entire system. You've got 120 litres on board of fresh water, so it'll drain that entire system down to 20 litres. And as I say, it's a quick drain down. So for example, if you're moving on site, off site, and you don't know whether you're going to get any water on the next site and you need to travel with water, the manufacturer recommend that you travel with 20 litres due to weight distribution and also payload. And that's how you do that. It's worth noting that to do this, you need to flick up this toggle, go onto the inside of the vehicle, turn on your pump, and then that'll help it drain out, just like so. Now the majority of the time you won't be using this, you'll be using the main drain down point, which is underneath this area. So the main drain down point is located by this sticker, which indicates, and it's underneath the vehicle, which I'll show you now. Once underneath the vehicle, you'll notice that you've got your drain down point, which is right there. This has been fitted with a toggle, so all you need to do is turn this, twist this, and that'll allow all the water to escape and drain down, just like so. Whilst I'm down here as well, you'll also notice that you've got your exhaust point here for your diesel heater, which is on the inside of the vehicle, so just stay clear of that as it does get hot. In regards to your drain down points, what we say, you know, obviously you've got three main ones. You've got your fresh water, your wastewater, and also your boiler drain down point. For all your drain downs, we say leave open when travelling off site, because all that's in them is water. It's not containing any harmful chemicals or anything, so you can leave them all open because when you're travelling, the vehicle's going to vibrate and make sure that all the water comes out. So that's how you drain your fresh water and also fill it up. Next to this point, you'll also notice that you've got your hookup points for mains electric, which is just there. And then coming to the back of the vehicle, you've got one access point into the locker, into your rear garage rather. So in regards to this, it's a full standing height locker, and you can stand things upright, or using the shelves inside, you can store them and divide the space, depending on what you're storing in the garage. At the back, you've also got another entry point, which is quite nice to have. And you'll also notice you've got your reversing camera, which is on the back there. Moving around to the other side, I'll open up the garage now so you can have a look in. Open that up. And then you'll notice that you've got your access point into the garage. You've got also your tie down points here, and you'll also notice your awning pole. In regards to your awning, which brings me on to it here, your awning is on the side of this vehicle. To operate this, what we say is, on a day like today, there's not much breeze, so you'd be all right to use it. But if there is a breeze in the air, especially on the campsites that you're going to, make sure that you don't use it. Because as you can imagine, this awning is almost like a sail. So you get any wind or anything underneath, it's simply going to blow it off and potentially it'll break the bracket, but potentially hit the vehicle and harm others. So make sure that you don't use it in windy conditions. On a day like today, as I say, it's not too bad, so you get away with using it. If it's raining as well, try not to use it, because you'll have to dry it out eventually. So to use this, simply get your awning pole, connect it to this side here where your winder is, and simply wind out. Wind out to a position that you can then reach it, and then simply flip out the legs. Let the legs then take the weight of the awning, and then walk out. So you'll angle a leg like that, wind it out so it retracts like that, and then keep doing that until it's at its furthest point. It'll then go slack, and then once you've got it out all the way, you can then take it in a little bit just to retain a bit of tension in the canvas. Moving on from the garage, you've got next your your toilet cassette. So, in regards to your cassette, the most important thing that you need to ensure is that when removing this, the blade on the toilet on the inside of the vehicle is closed. I've checked this before doing so. You always need to make sure that that's closed, because for example, you will go to pull this and it'll get stuck. It'll feel like it's being stuck. The worst thing you can do is to pull that out, because you'll simply break the mechanism. So you then need to go onto the inside and close the blade. As I say at the beginning, anything that feels like it's going to be forced or broken, you're probably doing something wrong, so just hold fire with. So to remove this, simply pull this handle and slide out like so. When emptying this system, all you need to do is pull this out like so, remove the cap, and then just as I've done, slide out. You'll then notice you've got an orange button on the back. If you click that when emptying the system, that releases a vacuum. That's going to allow all of its contents to flow out in one steady flurry. So make sure you do that when emptying it. You'll also notice you've got this orange little cap. That's what the blade, as I mentioned, makes contact with, so make sure that that's always in that position when putting it in and out. Like so. You can also swirl this out as well. And just by removing the cap, your blue fluid will just go in the cap, and then it can simply go in the top there. Slide that back in and shut it up like that. Moving on from the toilet cassette, you've also noticed that you've got a little sticker here. Similar to the one that's on the other side, however this indicates where your wastewater is. So you've got your fresh water on the other side, your wastewater is here. Underneath, you'll notice that you've got that grey pipe and then a handle above it. All you need to do is when you're on site, you'll have this massive grid that you can drive over. Simply pull that handle and that'll empty the system out. And as I say, with your fresh water, you can leave that open because it's going to drain out the entire system. That's located there. Moving on, you've then got your fridge vents, which are here, as you can see. With your fridge, it does a very good job at maintaining temperature. So just quickly on that, if you're wanting to put, if you want things to be cool in the fridge, put cool things in. It's the same thing with the freezer. If you want frozen things to be in the freezer, put frozen things in and it'll maintain that. And for example, if you've got the sun beating down on this side of the vehicle, try and turn the vehicle round just to help it out, because obviously this is where the fridge pulls all of its air from. So, fridge vents on that side. Before I move on to the habitation area, just the final bit on the outside is your gas locker, which is just in here. The main important thing is with the gas is to make sure it's always turned off at the bottle when travelling, due to safety. That concludes the outside of the vehicle. We're now going to move on to the inside. Moving on to the inside, firstly you've got your control panel, which is on the left hand side as you walk in. You'll also notice your Webasto heater system there. So firstly, to talk you through your control panel. Firstly, up here, if I hold that, you've got your master switch. Your master switch will activate everything. You'll then notice that you've got your light button here. That's for your internal lights, as you can see. Next to that, you've then got your water pump, which will activate the pump. And then finally, on this top row, you've also got another light here, which is on the outside, which is your door light. Most important bit on here is your pump. So your pump, firstly, you need to make sure that you only turn the pump on when you've got water in the system, because you'll simply burn it out. When you're on site and you're using the vehicle, you'll fill up your system full of water. You'll then go to this area here and you'll click on your pump. You then need to go to all your taps, turn them on and turn them to hot. So what that's going to do, it's going to pull fresh water from the wet freshwater tank through the boiler and then through your pipe system and then out of the tap, priming your boiler and your tap. It'll spurt and splutter, and then when it's running steadily, you've primed your system. Once you've done that in your hot water, you need to flick it over to the cooled water and do the exact same. And then you're good to go. Once it's running steadily, you've primed your system. Once you've done that, you can't actually leave your pump on, because on all your switches, all your taps, there are micro switches, so it'll only activate your pump when you need it. Once you've done that for your taps, you also need to do this for the shower as well. That does include the shower. Just down here as well, you'll notice that you've got your habitation battery, which is there. It shows its level. You've then got the vehicle battery, which is there, shows its level. And then finally, your fresh water tank, which shows what level you are there. Finally, you've also got, you'll notice, a brightness button here, so you can alter the brightness of the screen. Moving over, once you concluding your finished on your control panel, moving over to your Webasto system. Your Webasto, as I say, is diesel heating. To operate this, all you need to do is turn this. You'll notice a green light will come on. Just turn that off for now. Once you've turned it on, all your lights, you'll notice, will start to flicker. The reason being is because it's powering up the system. It draws a lot of power, so it'll start flickering. It'll flicker for approximately 15 to 20 minutes, and once it's powered up, it'll stop flickering all your lights. Once you've, I'd say initially, put it all on full, and then once it's up to temperature, put it to a point that you're happy with. So it's as simple as that to operate that system. If you want to obviously turn it off, obviously turn it all the way off so you've not got a light showing as it is here. And then in regards to that as well, it'll power down. So again, the lights will flicker because it's powering down the system. So once it's, again, it'll last for about 15-20 minutes. And then once it's powered down, it'll stop. Moving through to the vehicle, next you've got your fridge. You've also got your oven and grill, which is up at the top. Sorry, just your grill in this. So, firstly, your freezer is up at the top here, and then fridge is below. Just like so. Now, to operate your fridge is a three-way system. It's called a three-way system because there's three ways to fuel it. Firstly, you've got electric, which is your hookup point. So when you're on site, you're going to be using your hookup point and you'll be powering it off that. You've then got gas, which is a little flame symbol, which obviously when you're wild camping, you'll run it off gas. And then finally, you've got like a little leisure battery symbol, which is your 12 volt, which when you're travelling, you can run it off the 12 volt. Typically, a lot of people assume that they can actually run the fridge when you're wild camping off the leisure battery. However, this isn't the case, because if it was, you just simply trip the vehicle because it just draws too much power. So that's the reason for that. So when you're wild camping, always on gas, and when you're travelling, only on your leisure battery, because you've got a fitted alternator to this, so it's simply going to power the fridge up as the engine's running. To turn this on, simply turn it. It's just hold the button on there. You'll notice it powers up there with your lights. Then flick through the options. Flick through the options like so. You've also got your temperature over here, which you can alternate between. Once you've got your fridge all powered off, moving over, you've got your hob here and also your sink, and also your bits of storage, which are all down here. Moving into the back area, you've then got your bathroom. So, you have your toilet cassette here, and then your shower. We've mentioned about priming your system, so you're happy with your shower. We've also briefly mentioned about obviously removing the cassette when it's full. The main thing that you need to know in here is the blade on the toilet, which I mentioned outside. The blade on the toilet is so important because if it's open and you remove the cassette, obviously you're going to snap the whole system. So, during use, when using this system, you need to open the blade, which you do so by pushing away from you. That'll open up the cassette and allow all the waste to drop into the cassette. Once you've done that, you need to flush the system by clicking that blue button on here, and then that'll flush it. Once you've done that, close it because you don't want any nasty odours to escape from the cassette. And as I say, that'll close it so next time when you remove it, you know you've closed it. So you do that by default, you'll never run into that issue. Just quickly, as I say, you can flush the system using this blue button here. However, it's worth noting that if you do that, you need your pump on. You'll also get on here like a red light just to indicate when the cassette is full. Once finished on the cassette, you'll also notice that you've got your wardrobe area here, so you can hang things and obviously store things as well. We're going to now move back into the lounge area. You'll notice that this model has got a drop-down bed, which is here, which is your main bed. So, to operate this system, all you need to do is pull the table, which is on a sliding mechanism, into place. You've then got a key, which is on this side here. You need to put your key in to drop the table and line it up, which I'll do now for you. Once the table has been dropped, you'll notice that the full area can be now used. At this point, it is worth mentioning that this area can turn into a bed if you wanted, so you can have two here and then two up here in the drop-down bed. So it is an option for you. If you're making this into a bed, you've got your infills, and then you use the back of the cushions to create the bed, which is just below here. Dropping the drop-down bed, what you need to do firstly, if you're having it all the way down, is remove these back cushions, which I'll do now, and then you can drop the entire bed unit all the way down to the base here, which I'll do for you now. Once the cushions have been removed, simply put your key in, and you can turn it, and then drop the bed. Through using the key, you'll notice that I've been able to drop the bed, and you've got access to it. With your drop-down beds, we say keep all your bedding on, just with your pillows, stick them at the front, and then you're good to go. Once you set the bed back up, I'll then put the cushions back and set the table back up, and then you're back to your lounge. The final point in the lounge that I need to show you is you have got a bit of storage down here, which I didn't mention, but the main thing that you need to know is your boiler. As I say, you've got your Webasto system, which heats your inside of the vehicle, but your like your space heater. However, you've then got your water heater, which is separate, completely separate unit. You'll notice that you've got two little switches down there, which I'm going to talk you through now, and they operate your freshwater heater. So heating for the fresh water, which is for your boiler. Located in there, as I say, is your boiler, and you've also got your boiler drain down point, which I'm going to show you now. Firstly, to show you how to operate this, you'll notice, as I say, you've got two switches. Just coming round, you've got the first one here, which has 50 and 70 on it. And then on this side, you've then got two squiggles at the top and then three squiggles at the bottom. In the middle position, just to talk you through your first one, means that it's off. If I was to flick it to the top or the bottom, it activates the system and it turns it on. So the two systems. This first one allows you to heat the water off gas. So you've then got 50 degrees and, as I say, 70 degrees. So if you're having a shower, you're going to flick it onto 50 degrees rather. So you're going to flick this button and run it off 50 degrees. However, if you are washing up and washing pots and pans, you'll flick it onto 70 degrees, which is down there. To turn off, as I say, press it to the middle position, and that's for your gas, if you're running it off gas. If they're on site and you're running it off electric, you've then got this system. To operate this, you've got 2 squiggles at the top and then 3 squiggles at the bottom. And this, in essence, means the same thing as the gas point did. Top is 1 kilowatt electric, and press it to the bottom is 2 kilowatt electric. Majority of the time, you'll have it on 2 kilowatt electric, so you'll just be pressing it on that bottom bit. In the middle, that means that it's off. And as I say, when you are using this, this is when you need to make sure that that vent on the outside of the vehicle is taken off. Next, your boiler. Your boiler is located in this position here. After removing the cushions, simply pull up on this panel here and you can see that you've got your boiler there. The boiler you don't need to do anything with. The only thing that you need to know down here, and the reason why I've removed all these, is to show you where your boiler drain down point is for your for the water which is concealed in the boiler. This is the most important drain down point, because if you do get frozen water in the system, it's going to crack the boiler, which is a very expensive mistake to be made. So make sure that you do that. To get to your freshwater drain down point for your boiler, simply remove this panel like so, and then you'll notice that you've got your boiler drain down point, which is there. That yellow tab is your boiler drain down point. In the down position as it is now, it's closed. And then to open it, all you need to do is flip that open like so, and that'll drain down the system. And as I say, when moving off site, you can drain that down and leave it open. Always drain this down in the winter months, because you don't want frozen water in your system in the boiler. Just quickly whilst I'm here, you'll notice, and you might notice them in other points in the vehicle, you've also got these red taps. These are isolation valves. Leave them as they are. Only touch them when you are advised to by a technician or myself. That concludes the handover video and the Chausson 610. I hope you enjoyed.